Item number 10E, adopt resolutions authorizing construction and design work associated with the Crestmoor Glenview Neighborhood Reconstruction Project. We'll be looking for 2 resolutions to be approved. The first one is a resolution authorizing the city manager to execute a construction contract for the Crestmoor Glenview Neighborhood Reconstruction Phase 1 Water System Improvement Project with Casey Construction, Inc. in the amount of $517,457 and approving a construction budget of $645. The second resolution is a resolution amending the contract with BKF Engineers, Inc. for design engineering services related to the Crestmoor Glenview Neighborhood Reconstruction and increasing this contract amount by $405,100. And before we have staff, I'd just like to ask the city attorney a quick question. I received some calls today regarding the contractors that we use and get bids from for some of this restoration, and this happened to come from some unions, wondering if we had any flexibility in requiring that some of these be union, and do we or do we not, and maybe you could explain that to us so it's all clear.
Sure, Mr. Mayor. As you and the council know, these are public projects, and the state law requires that the city pay prevailing, or that the contractor pay prevailing wages. Actually, the city makes that a condition of the contract with the contractor, and all the bidders are aware of that requirement when they bid on the contract, and they're agreeing that if they get the low bid and it's awarded to them, that they will in fact pay prevailing wages. As you know, the city is required either to award the contract to the low bidder or to reject all bids and start over again, and that's certainly something that you can ask staff about if you have a question about that. But if the city does in fact award the contract to the low bid, the city can be assured that the contractor is required to comply with state law and with our contract with the contractor to pay prevailing wages.
Okay, and the prevailing wage is in fact the union wage.
That's right.
Right, and they are required, I believe, to use apprentices on these projects, which are mostly trained by the union.
Right, the state requirement and our requirement is that they pay those wage scales.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Staff report, please. Harry?
Honorable Mayor, members of the City Council, I'm Harry Burrows, the city's project manager for the Crestmoor Glenview Reconstruction Project. The action before the City Council tonight represents the continuing implementation of elements that are part of the rebuilding of the Crestmoor neighborhood. 2 separate items are before you tonight. The first item is the award of the construction contract for the Phase 1 water system improvements. And these improvements, if you look at the exhibit, are up here at Sneath. They're represented by the blue lines, and what they entail is new water lines and new water line connections to a 14-inch water line, existing 14-inch water line in Sneath Lane, as well as 2 pressure reducing stations. And the project, when completed, will help provide more reliable water pressures and flows to the neighborhood during peak demand periods. The city advertised for bids on this project in December of last year and opened bids on January 10th. City received 9 bids. The bids range from a low of $517,500 to the high bid of $788,000. The engineer's estimate for the project was $650,000. A couple things are worth noting. The lowest bidder, Casey Construction Company, was about 20% below the engineer's estimate. Additionally, the lowest 5 bidders were within about 10% of each other, and that's reflective of the current competitive bid environment in today's economy. So we were pleased with this bid spread. Casey Construction's low bid of $517,547 was reviewed by staff and deemed to be both responsive and responsible. Staff recommends award of the contract to Casey Construction and the establishment of a construction budget of $650,000. The additional funds in the construction budget include a 15% contingency, as well as an allowance for contract administration and inspection costs. The second item before you tonight is an amendment to the design contract with BKF Engineers. BKF previously was contracted with the city in June of last year to design the repairs and reconstruction of the fire-damaged area. That contract was for $298,000. On November 8th of 2011, the City Council held a study session in which staff outlined recommendations for repairs and replacement of infrastructure beyond the immediate fire-damaged area. These additional improvements more than doubled the original scope in terms of area and work. On December 13th, City Council confirmed the extent to these additional improvements and directed staff to proceed with the design. Staff has negotiated a contract amendment with BKF Engineers in the amount of $406,100 to perform this additional work. This proposed amendment will cover the additional work contemplated to design the infrastructure throughout the entire neighborhood, and staff recommends that the contract be amended to include this work. With that, I end the staff report.
Harry, when you say Phase 1 compared to what? Phase 2, what comes after Phase 1? This is just the main tie-in to Sneath Lane so that we can bring new water service to the fire area, as well as service the homes now that are bigger, that have sprinklers requirements and things?
Yes, what this project does is it essentially helps us blend water from one higher pressure zone down into this neighborhood, which is a lower pressure zone, during peak demand periods. The future phases of improvements will include the replacement and repair of the water lines, sewer lines, storm drain lines throughout the entire neighborhood, based upon the direction that we received from Council on December 13th.
Okay. And then BKF had a contract already. We're going to bump that up if it's approved. And that encompasses the design for all of that in the whole neighborhood.
Correct. That'll include the civil engineering design for the water lines, sewer lines, storm drain lines, and the roadway repair and replacement throughout the entire neighborhood.
Okay. Thank you. Any questions of staff?
Through the chair.
Irene?
In your staff report, you talk about potholing of utilities. Can you explain what that is?
Yeah, potholing of utilities is essentially excavating down to verify the depth and location of utilities.
Okay, great.
Yes.
And then I know there's going to be a community meeting on Thursday to discuss all of this, plus perhaps undergrounding utilities. If the council decides to go forward with undergrounding utilities, that's not included in this, correct? As far as design goes?
Correct. That is not
and have to
included
come
in
back.
BKF's contract.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or action?
I'll introduce the resolution. Do you want both or one at a time?
One at a time, please.
Okay, the first one, authorizing city manager to execute a construction contract for the Crestmoor Glenview Neighborhood Reconstruction Phase 1.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Ibarra.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.
And I'll introduce the second resolution, amending the contract with BKF Engineers.
Councilmember O'Connell.
Aye.
Councilmember Medina.
Aye.
Councilmember Salazar.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Ibarra.
Aye.
Mayor Ruane.
Aye.